Time for another brand new game for the channel. And just when I said I was sick of World War II games, another one comes along. So why did I enjoy Hell Let Loose much more than I anticipated? What sets it apart from other FPS games? And is it worth playing? It's almost better to set Hell Let Loose out by listing what it isn't. This isn't a COD clone, it's a Battlefield clone, or any of those esport-friendly, round-based FPS titles that occasionally take the appearance of a period in history, in this case World War II, and then use that as a backdrop. Hell Let Loose feels intertwined with World War II in a way other games not only don't match, but that honestly seems like they don't even strive for. By way of an example, their recent free weekend coincided with them launching a new map based on the D-Day beach landing. Okay, so far so FPS game. We've seen maps like that before, some sand, some of those tank trap things, some bunkers, a couple lanes to go through, maybe an objective to C4. Not for Hell Let Loose though. When they say D-Day map, they mean Omaha Beach, not an unspecified map in a D-Day style, and even then, they specifically mean the dog green sector of Omaha Beach rendered and realised in as much detail as they could manage. There's a Steam post showing reference images and in-game screenshots to illustrate the lengths they've gone to make this as authentic a virtual environment as they could make for a game. The historic maps line up, the buildings are modelled to the same period standard. It's as impressive as it is illustrative of the sort of game that Hell Let Loose is designed to be. And just a quick comment to say, if you do like this video, please do tap the thumb up button, as it really helps me out with YouTube and growing the channel and making videos in the future that I hope you'll like too. So if you choose to do that, then a big thanks to you. It really is appreciated. The new map was released with a new mode called Offensive, where there are attackers and defenders. The attackers need to capture 2 areas to progress through the map and capture the final area. Defenders obviously are trying to stop their progress and run the clock down. It works quite well, probably needs some tuning on spawn locations to set up the desired player conflict areas. This is a game after all. But the mode was a lot of fun to play, honestly, on either side. All this realised space means that some areas can feel a little empty as you're running through, but not to worry. A reminder that these are 50 versus 50 player matches is never too far away. In keeping with the realism theme, bullets hurt a lot. Pretty much any weapon can deliver a one-hit kill, but being wounded can trigger a self-heal option that it does allow you some reprieve to get back into the battle. Hell Let Loose is also a game built on communication, but unlike the non-verbal communication of something like Apex's ping system, Hell Let Loose places real emphasis on voice communication at local squad and team levels to keep everything organised. In this way, it really seems to foster similarly minded players of the like that frequent titles such as Squad or Insurgency, people looking for more organised, team play focused experience. It really seemed to chime with me too. I came away feeling like winning a match was less important than the chance you had to feel part of an organised team that had done its job. In fact, in one particularly lengthy match, we seemed to have the upper hand, but sort of overextended at one point, forcing us to retreat to stabilise the situation. And in the end, it came down to the slimmest of margins that we were ultimately defeated. But it was probably my most enjoyable match of the whole weekend. It wasn't a stomping, it was me being ordered by a really great squad lead to do the tasks that our commander had set out. Even if the overall match was chalked up as a loss, we as a squad had victories of our own. That kind of enjoyment is the very heart of games like these. The HUD is tuned to help with realism too, though its presence obviously suggests that it still knows that it's a game after all. But with default settings, the range at which you see the non-squad friendly teammates' nameplates, the things above their head, is pretty short. You can aim at them at a distance and you get them to reappear, but not having them there helps to foster a fog of war and reliance to keep actively aware of your surroundings. Constant referring to your map so you know the location of friendly forces so as not to engage them by mistake becomes a common task. But in quick snap decision making, you're still not 100% that guy you just saw move between those 2 trees was that a friend or a foe? How long do you have to make that decision? Also, there's no kill feed to give you feedback on what's happening. Not even a kill count on the scoreboard to rely on. It's like small amounts of confusion, unknowing, or maybe even a little bit of panic used as an actual game mechanic, but obviously in a really good way. It helps set a pace and a cadence for the game, and helps sculpt the unique way in which it feels to play. These quick decisions and obvious miscalculations are going to get you acquainted with another key part of the Hell Let Loose experience, and that's running. By their nature, the destroyable spawn points are often a significant distance away from where the front lines are, so the main means of travel is Shanks's pony. You'll find yourself running across eerily open fields and hoping that no one spots you while you're hoofing it across. It does help cement the pace of the game, as if you know there's a significant run between you spawning and getting back into the action, then subconsciously you start to protect your current position in the battlefield. It sort of has more value to you. If you take that viewpoint, you could almost go further and say that running back is almost like a little bit of a punishment for getting yourself killed. And it doesn't really feel like that, unless the spawn points are really egregiously positioned though. But in a game where you can spawn over and over, where you can get killed so easily in intense situations, when you're trying to stay aware of other friendly forces, it does help dampen the temptation, along with spawn timers, to go gung-ho and try and rambo the situation on your own. The sound design is something of a mixed bag, I'd say. If I was going to point to a game where they should try and push Hell Let Loose's sound design, I'd 100% suggest something like Battlefield's War Tapes mode, and there are some times when it does indeed get it right. One of those well-done sound design elements currently in Hell Let Loose are the tanks. It may come as a shock to you, but tanks are loud, like really, really loud. They grunt and thunder and squeak and creak as they move, and it's just like that in Hell Let Loose. They reduce your ability to hear other environmental noise, gunfire, radio communications, and so on. When there's a tank driving near you, the whole world is about that tank. In a game looking for realism, and in a game that can also have beautifully quiet moments with bird song in the background, the scale and noise made by tanks is really well judged. If you've watched videos before and you're now thinking, oh no, this is the part where he talks about Battlefield's weapon sounds again, well, you're gosh darn right it is. For all that the tanks do well, the weapon sounds aren't up to the same level. At distance they lack bass, which is fine and sounds realistic, but firing a weapon in first person doesn't have the impact you expect from listening to the other sounds of the game. There's no heft or thump or pop like you get in the Battlefield's War Tapes audio mode. The experience feels lessened by its absence, especially in comparison to other areas of the game. Performance is okay, and I mean just okay. On this old machine, 970 GPU, old i7, I find that lower population areas were 60 FPS plus, but then it would dip into the 40s in higher pop areas. It didn't feel too impactful to the gameplay, if I'm honest, but if you're used to super high refresh, it's gonna feel pretty bad. This is with me balancing my settings too. I find that I needed the detail anti-aliasing for good distance visibility, but I lowered other settings like shadows to try and get some more frames. I saw Lyric stream the game on his rather beastly computer, basically as good as a computer as you can buy these days. I think he had it on max settings and saw his frame rate dip into the below 20 FPS range at 1440p. So regardless, I'd say there was significant optimization required for the demands it places on the hardware currently. I should also say that this is an early access title too, so the game is in flux. Things like the weapon sounds do appear on lists of things that they are actively working on, so there's hope that improvements are in the pipeline, although obviously I can only review what's here and available today. I would imagine things like their class system and vehicles will be iterated on as well while development progresses. I did see one particularly bad piece of user experience fixing set for later on their development roadmap though. It may sound like a minor thing and like I'm nitpicking or something, but the server browser is really rubbish to use. It takes something like 30 seconds to populate the servers. You then need to sort them as it doesn't remember your preference in sorting. Then when you select a server that's almost full, because you're almost always going to do that, right? You're looking for a nice active and busy server. But if it connects and says, oh, actually we're full, then you're back to the browser again for the same 30-second wait. That may sound minor, like I said, but that must be the experience of almost every new player into the game. Getting people to stay in and be active with your game is a constant battle for developers. So crushing road humps to people's enjoyment, like this issue with the server browser, should be sorted as something with a higher priority in my opinion. So is it worth playing? As we've discussed, this won't be a game for everyone. It doesn't feel like a mass-market, homogenized, focused group title designed to make the maximum money from the most people. This is a specific title that specific sorts of people will enjoy. It has rough edges for sure, but it's still very playable in its current incarnation, and fingers crossed some of those larger edges will be rounded over as it nears its official release. So if you watch this video and think that the way the game has been designed resonates with you, then this title is absolutely worth your time to give it a try. Whereas if you're looking for a round-based shooter with that kind of I'll play a few more maps before bed kind of vibe, by the way, I'm not knocking that kind of game, both absolutely have their place, then Hell Let Loose probably isn't really a game for you. As this is a Steam game, of course, you can try it for 2 hours or own it for 2 weeks and still get a full refund. And I'd say that within 2 hours, you'll know whether or not this game is something that you'll enjoy. What's more, if you're watching this video as it goes live, then there's currently a 20% sale until the 17th of October 2019, making Hell Let Loose almost £20 in the UK or $24 in the US. For player numbers, the free weekend seemed to go pretty well for the game, with peak concurrent numbers up above 10,000, which is impressive compared to their numbers before that. It looks like there's certainly interest in the game from people like me who hadn't tried it yet. It was about 1,000 peak players before the weekend, and it looks now the Monday after to be about a peak of 4,000, which is a sizable bump. I am very interested in what you think of Hell Let Loose though. Do you like more hardcore FPS titles? Do you worry that the name is something of a mouthful? Leave me a comment below. Right now, I promise to read every single one of them. If you enjoyed the video, please consider tapping the old subscribe button or even sharing the link on Twitter or Reddit, as it really helps me out like you wouldn't believe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.